Hello, hello, hello. So at 6 o'clock, I'm going to get started talking with Teacher Banda. Hi. Um, I'm going to start talking to Teacher Banda once he shows up. So we're just waiting on him. Welcome, everyone. Say hi. Say hi if you're here. Can everyone hear me okay? Hi. Alexandra, hi. Welcome. Yes, hello. Hi, Marina. So good to see you all. Teacher Banda's going to be here soon, and we're going to talk about some of the challenges that English learners are facing. We've got some exciting stuff planned. See if I can get Teacher Banda in here. You're welcome. Hi, Johnny. Zach. Hi, everyone. We're going to get started as soon as Teacher Banda gets here. We have some fun things to talk about, and we're going to talk about grammar. We're going to talk about pronunciation. Oh, thank you so much, Marina. I appreciate your effort, teacher. Thank you so much. So we're going to get started soon. Once I get Teacher Banda on here. Where are you from, teacher? I am from North Carolina. I am here in the USA, and I live in North Carolina. All right, I think I see Teacher Banda coming. Where are you from? Where is everyone from as Teacher Banda's connecting? Sorry about that.
Hello, teacher. Good evening.
Good evening. Hi, Teacher Banda. How are you?
Okay. Okay. How about you, teacher?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited about our conversation tonight.
I know. Yeah, me too.
So
Me too.
we're gonna talk about, guys, we're gonna talk about three things tonight. We're gonna talk about the challenges that you are all facing, and we're gonna use our experience as teachers to help you figure out strategies how to deal with those challenges. So the first thing, we have three things we're gonna talk about: grammar. We're gonna talk about some of the harder parts of grammar. And we're going to talk about phrasal verbs and idioms and how to learn
That
those.
sounds good.
And then the last thing we're going to talk about is pronunciation, how much we need to look at and study pronunciation. So, Teacher Banda, would you like to introduce yourself?
Of course. Yes, of course. My name is Alban Banda. I'm from Mexico. Right. I've been an English teacher for more than 13 years. And it's a
Wow.
great experience being here with you, teacher. For me, it's amazing, to be able to share all this information with the audience, with you. I really appreciate the opportunity, right? That sounds amazing.
Yes. So, where have you taught for 13 years? In Mexico?
Yeah, Mexico. I had the opportunity to live in Texas for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I moved back to Mexico. And I started in this famous school in Mexico. I was the academic coordinator there for 5 years. And I have some experience in teaching English, right?
Definitely,
So that's
definitely.
why,
So a lot
yeah.
more, yeah. For those who don't know me, I'm Amy, teacher Amy. I taught literature and writing to high school students here in the US for 6 years. And I am now getting my certification, finishing that certification to teach English. So I'm so excited you're here, Teacher Banda, because you have
Congratulations,
so
teacher.
much. Thank you. Thank you. You have
Yeah, actually.
so much experience. So I'm really excited to talk to you tonight.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think if we get this thing started? Or
Let's
maybe
go.
we just could wait for 5 more minutes. I mean, in case that more people is added to the conversation to the live.
Sure.
What do you think?
Sure, that sounds great. We can wait just a couple more minutes to get started with grammar. Um,
Yeah, exactly.
in the meantime, where is everyone? Where can you put in the comments? Where are you from? Who's joining us?
Yeah, we have some people right there,
We
right?
do,
Yeah, ready.
yeah.
This we really need you guys. Okay, thank you. That's so sweet.
Yes. Great.
That's
Okay.
great.
Well, let's see. Oh, El Salvador. We have someone from El
Oh,
Salvador.
amazing.
Yeah, great.
Where's
Canada.
Canada? Canada. Wow.
All right. Well, why don't we go
Wow,
ahead and get
Canada.
started?
Okay, that sounds good. Sounds good. Sounds good. The first topic that we're gonna be talking about, I think, is this controversial topic that is grammar. The opinion that teachers have about this topic is quite divided. Yeah. What is your opinion, teacher, about grammar? What do you think about grammar?
What do I think about English grammar? Well, one thing that I've noticed in my journey to learn languages, for example, is that there are people who say grammar is not important. You just need to focus on speaking, getting it out, the words out. Um, I also see a huge focus on grammar here in the United States. And I think that's a problem because what happens is that we have people who have memorized grammar and have never spoken a language. And so for me, grammar is awesome, but I really want people to start using it. I want people to get out of the textbooks because you can sink down in there and get stuck in a bunch of rules when we need to remember that grammar, we have to remember what the function of grammar is, which is to communicate. What does this tense allow
Exactly.
me to communicate? And then try it out. What do you think? Is that your
Yeah, I mean,
experience?
yeah, I totally agree with you. Correct grammar. I think that correct grammar is the key for you to speak fluently and confidentially. But as you mentioned, we have to be careful on focusing only in methodologies that they just have grammar in the methodologies, so we need to be careful because the class, like the class could get or could be a little bit boring because you only are writing, you only are memorizing, as you mentioned. I mean, in that methodology, you need also speaking. You need to practice speaking. That's a very important part of a methodology. Speaking, as you mentioned. I really want my students to use that grammar, not only memorize the grammar.
Yeah. I like how
Yes,
you
I
said
think I
that.
think it's good.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I like how you said that
Yeah,
grammar
yeah.
is
Go
kind
ahead,
of
teacher.
boring because language learning should not be that boring. And so it's because talking to people should be fun. And
Of
grammar,
course,
yeah,
yeah.
grammar you can get tricked into thinking that that is all language learning is.
I got this comment from a teacher that I follow also on TikTok. I don't know what you think. I'm not gonna say the name of the teacher because I don't want to put him in the spot, but I'm gonna read it.
Okay.
Yes, and maybe you guys, the audience, you can write in the comments what do you think about this comment, and you also, teacher Amy, you
Mm-hmm.
share it with us your opinion about this. Is it says like this: English grammar, it's not necessary for speaking fluently. You only need to focus on idiom and slangs in order to communicate like a native. It is for this reason that even after years of learning English grammar at school, you can't speak fluently. Wow. I mean, this comment really got me thinking. What do you think?
What is it? Does anyone who is joining us today want to give an opinion about that? Could you read it one more time, Teacher Banda, the comment?
Of course, yeah.
Thank you.
I'm gonna read it one more time. It said English grammar is not necessary for speaking fluently. You only need to focus on idioms and slangs in order to communicate like a native. It is for this reason that even after years of learning English grammar at school, you can't speak fluently. Wow. It really got me thinking.
That is interesting. Does anyone in the comments
It
have
is interesting.
I'll give my opinion, and if anyone would like to join in and give an opinion, feel free to. Yeah, I don't know. I do feel like that reminds me of people who are online trying to sell a new method, right? So people who are trying to get to, so it sounds to me like someone who is trying to get sales by saying um, this is the one way to do it, or this is the real way, when actually English learning is a well-researched topic. Everyone learns English.
Exactly.
And so, I
I
mean, the
love it.
truth
Yeah.
is, most people are learning English. And when I was studying this past year to become an English teacher, I had textbooks full of research papers. There's no one person who is going to, in my opinion, go against all of this research that's been done. And what the research seems to say is that we need to use grammar to in order to learn how to communicate. I can't imagine having learned Spanish without looking at grammar. I can't imagine.
Of course.
So,
Yeah, that is totally true.
I don't know. That's
Yeah.
my.
I believe the same, teacher. I believe the same. I think that we're on the same page here. Grammar is important, as you mentioned, but I really liked what you said a couple of minutes ago. I really want my students to use grammar, and for that, you got to create this communicative activities. You need to be quite. You need to be active. You need to be dynamic in the classroom in order to make your students speak. Why? Because sometimes in the classroom we deal with Chinese introvert people. They need English, right? But at the same time, they don't want to. They don't want to speak. They don't want to practice. So that is difficult. I believe the same as you. I believe grammar is important, but you need to speak. I mean, and you need to start speaking. I mean, since the first class, if you get a course, yeah, if
Yes.
you get a course, I actually have another comment from another teacher. It's
Yes,
quite
I love
divided.
it.
This
Fantastic.
yeah, yeah. Check this out. Check what she said. Correct grammar is your key to speaking English fluently and confidentially. I would say, okay, I agree. Yeah, but then knowing your grammar will help you avoid errors that make your English sound strange to native speakers. Now, and this is a question for you. Maybe some people that are listening right now. What do you think about a non-native speaker having grammar mistakes? What is your opinion about that? Is that awful? Is that bad?
Yeah, what do you think? If anyone would like to join in and say what they think.
I think we had a message right there.
Oh boy. Yeah. I think, grammar mistakes are this is something that it really depends on your audience too, and how accepted those grammar mistakes are going to be. But to me, small mistakes just they don't matter. It doesn't bother me. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I totally understand. And then she continued saying, correct correct grammar won't just demonstrate your English skills. It'll also show that you're diligent and have your eye on for detail. Yeah, I like that. Like
Hmm.
for example, if you get into grammar, of course, we are teachers. We really need to know grammar. Yeah, because sometimes the students come up with these weird questions. What is the difference between? I love your explanation about passed away and passed on. You know,
Mm-hmm.
all those deep, tricky questions. I can call them like tricky questions because sometimes they get you in a spot. Like, I mean, and what is the
Yes, and
difference?
you think,
But
well, does it
you need to
really
be
matter?
prepared for that.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
Alexandra says, in my opinion, making mistakes is part of the process. Of course, it's part of the process learning anything, any skill, not just English. If I want to, I don't know, learn how to dance, I'm going to fall a few times. So
Of
it's
course.
it's just, yeah, great point. Great point. So
Yeah,
yeah, why
that's
don't
she's totally
we,
right.
sorry, what was that?
Yeah, she's totally right.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
make mistakes is part of the process.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So why don't we talk about, let's move on to phrasal verbs and idioms. How can we
Oh my
best
goodness.
learn these? And guys, the reason we decided to talk about these two things is because they're the hardest. Phrasal verbs and idioms when it comes to vocabulary. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is complicated. I mean, you know how I'm not a native speaker. You know, when I you really need to get into watching TV for doing what I'm about to say or for learning the way that I'm about to explain. I really had to watch a lot of TV, you know, a lot of TV in order to learn all these idioms and phrasal verbs because the it's enormous the quantity of these idioms and phrasal verbs, and they are difficult. But something that I did that it was quite useful for me is
That's
watching
great.
TV, and sometimes I had to pause. The Netflix on Netflix, like I mean, I didn't understand this word. What does it really mean? And I had to look for the meaning, on Google or context. But I learned a lot by context. I wish. Okay, I mean, this word didn't fit here. It doesn't mean what I think it means. So I need to research.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned a lot of idioms and phrasal verbs by context and watching TV. A
Yeah.
lot of them.
Yeah. That's what I wrote down when I was talking about this essentially is that, like with any vocabulary, well, when you're learning English vocabulary, any type of vocabulary, it really helps to start, I think, with those high frequency words, those words that are used a lot. And something that watching TV or reading a lot or listening to a lot of podcasts, if you if if you're listening to a lot of stuff and you're consuming a lot of English media, those high frequency words, you're going to start noticing them because they're going to be in the media. And so that's one reason why I always recommend reading, for example, because you start, when I'm reading in Spanish, I start noticing if a word is showing up several times in the reading, and then I know it in context and it reinforces. I don't have to open flashcards, because the reading will continue to bring that vocabulary for me. Yeah. So I love that
Of
tip.
course.
Watch TV, whatever media it is that you like. Yeah, do it. I like podcasts a lot too in Spanish.
Yeah,
I
me
learned a
too.
lot
Me too.
listening
And
to
sometimes it's
podcasts.
yeah, yeah, and sometimes it's just like that. You gotta do what you gotta do. So sometimes if the TV works for you, do it. If reading works for you, do it. I mean, there is not this. Okay, you gotta do it this way. If you don't do it this way, you're not gonna learn. No, it doesn't work like that. We
No.
got different intelligences. We got different ways of learning. So you need to take advantage of yours. I mean, have you identified the way that you learn better?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's something
What
like
do you
I
enjoy?
exactly right.
It's in English.
You can actually yes, right. Well, you can actually you can actually have some fun and you're and learning at the same time, right? Like watching the media, watching TV. What I mean, the activity that you want to do or pleased to do, you can actually have some fun and at the same time you can learn. That's something that students don't think that it could happen, but it could happen and it might happen and it will happen if you really get into it. Yeah.
Yes. And so, guys, if you're just joining us right now, we're talking about learning phrasal verbs and idioms and how important taking that, you know, reading and watching movies, how that can help expose you to those. And another thing that I learned is that it's really important when you're choosing television. Well, television maybe not so much, but with reading, it's really important to read something that doesn't frustrate you, that isn't so
Yes,
hard,
exactly.
that you have to look up a word every other sentence. I tried doing that when I started reading in Spanish and I got so frustrated. I got stressed. I was trying to read just regular books when I wasn't ready. And now I am ready and it's great, but you can't learn if that's what you're consuming. So, one more tip.
Uh, Now that you were talking about this, or well, we were talking about grammar a few minutes ago, I would like you, Teacher Amy, to explain us a little bit your because when you told me that you are self-taught Spanish, for me was like I was shocked because I don't know, guys, the guys that are actually listening to us and watching the video, Teacher Amy speaks Spanish quite well.
Thank
Quite
you.
well. Can you
Gracias.
speak a little bit of your Spanish, teacher, please?
Ahora no sé qué voy a decir. No estaba preparada. No, yeah, I taught myself
Yeah,
Spanish.
I know.
Well, in the future we want to try some lives in Spanish too for our big Spanish audience. Um, yeah, so I started learning Spanish about 3 years ago, and so what I did, again, everyone is different.
3 years ago.
3 years ago, um, and well, but
Wow.
I did it like a full-time job. I was obsessed with getting better. So 3 years, a lot of hours. But yeah, I did a lot of that. I did Pimsleur, I did Duolingo, um, I read easy short stories. I got myself a grammar book. So for me, language learning should not be expensive because there are a lot of free things out there and you can try lots of
Of
different
course.
things like we were talking about. Find something that you enjoy. So, guys, I'm seeing some questions. Thank you. Keep it up. We are going to go through and answer some more questions at the end for sure. Yes, we want to answer your questions.
Yeah,
Um,
for
so
sure.
are you ready to move on to our last? Because actually, I see a question here, how to change your accent. I want to master the American accent. So getting into
That's
our
pronunciation.
next, yeah, that's getting into our next topic, which is pronunciation. How much do you need to study pronunciation? And Teacher Banda, your English pronunciation is fantastic. So, would you like to share with us kind of your thoughts on,
Yes,
yeah.
of course. Thank you. Thank you for the compliment, teacher. You really, you just made my day. Uh, and thank you. Yes, I've been practicing English. I've been practicing. As I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, I had the opportunity to live in Texas. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that's why I think my accent is a little bit like a native speaker. I know that I'm not a native speaker, but still I can communicate with native speakers, and my pronunciation is a little bit similar because I live there. But pronunciation, I really loved what you once wrote in. Oh no, you actually said in one of your videos that we have to remember that the objective of learning a second language is communication. You have to communicate. The objective is to communicate. You don't have to have a perfect pronunciation. That is not going to happen. Not for non-native speakers. You know what I mean?
No,
That
after
is
after
not going to
about 10
happen.
years old, yeah, that's not going to
Yeah,
happen.
that is not going to happen. So pronunciation, it is important. It is important, but it's not the most important. The main what you need to think first is, okay, I need to practice. That's the first thing. Maybe my pronunciation is not going to change. You're going to remain, you're going to keep your pronunciation. You're going to have that accent that you're Mexican, you're Latin, you're from any country you are. Your pronunciation is not going to be like a native speaker, but you don't have to get frustrated because of that, right? I mean, as long as you can communicate well, you're doing a good job, a
Yes.
very good job.
Yes. And that is why we do study pronunciation. That is why we do it, because it's you can know all of the grammar rules and all of the idioms, but if you speak and the person you're speaking to cannot understand you and what you're saying, that's just going to be so frustrating and you are not going to communicate. And so we do it is important to study pronunciation, but again, as Teacher Banda said, our goal is not perfection, it's communication. So we try to use pronunciation as a tool to reach good communication. I have
Perfect.
a story about I took a teaching English pronunciation class, and my teacher was a speech language pathologist. So she was more scientific in how she thought about pronunciation, my teacher. And she was saying how she works with someone who speaks fantastic English, but the patients, are always saying that they can't understand him. So they don't want to work with him because they can't understand him because he's a non-native speaker, right? And so that's what we don't want. We want you to have good enough pronunciation that's not going to get in the way of your profession and your relationships. So yeah, that's what I think when it comes to pronunciation. So I love teaching pronunciation. I love it. But we have to,
And
yeah.
since since you are a native speaker, teacher Amy, can you teach the audience? I mean, a few tips of how to improve pronunciation, two or three of them that you have already
Yeah, let
right
me
there with
think.
you.
So yeah, one of the biggest things that I learned through my training, again, I am new English teacher, so when I say things, it's because I've been in school. Um, but one of the things that I thought was interesting is that we have what's called I made a video about this recently. Oh my gosh, I just blanked on the name. Essentially what we have, so adults, as we get older, we start learning to not hear sounds that aren't important to our language, so the sounds that other people are using. So for example, we have different types of vowels that to one person may sound like the same vowel, and to a native speaker will sound, everyone here has probably experienced this frustration of saying, wait, what's the difference between and you know um, but one thing that I learned, one tip is that you need to learn how to hear again. That you need to learn how to hear, you need to be able to hear the sounds that you want to produce before you try to produce them. So if you feel like you cannot hear the difference between lost and lust, then try to to work on trying to hear that difference before you get frustrated about not being able to do it. So that was a big, I think that was a big that was kind of a eye opener, aha moment for me when I realized that we just can't hear the sounds, so of course we can't say
Yeah,
them. Yeah.
yeah. Everything is by practicing, by practicing, by listening, by repeating.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that it worked for me when I was learning to speak English.
Mm-hmm.
I was living with my cousins, and I remember that I used to tell them, "Hey, please, can you repeat that, please? I didn't get it. I don't get it. No, don't worry. I mean, we can repeat it for you." And they had to repeat it 2 or 3 times until I got it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but it was this. I mean, they are good guys. I had some other bad experiences too, like where they, no, I mean, if you don't get it, I'm not gonna repeat it for you. And like,
Yeah, of
woo,
course.
it
Mm-hmm.
was it was motivating for me. But I never gave up. Yeah, I never give up. Just I continue learning. I continue practicing, listening. I learned a lot by listening to native speakers. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I
Yep.
learned a lot by listening to them because we actually, like you said, you said a couple of minutes ago, like when the words are there, you just get them right by context. You're, I don't know what happened. Your brain gets them and stores them, and they are there at the time that when you need them at the
Yeah.
time of speaking. But for that, you need to practice. You need to practice your
Yeah.
English. You need to practice your speaking, because if you don't do it, you're not gonna get improved.
Yeah. And with pronunciation, one thing that's particular or different about pronunciation is that it is very uh, anatomical. It's a muscle, and you're trying to actually physically move your mouth in a way that it's not used to moving. And so I remember when I started learning Spanish, I was trying really hard to work on pronunciation. My mouth actually hurt after my lessons, my speaking lessons. I was tired. And yeah, so that's part of it. We need to realize, like again, with any, skill, I started trying to lift some weights recently. You can't just suddenly lift, 20 pounds. You need to work those
Exactly.
muscles until they're strong enough and can do that. So we have to be a little patient with our bodies too.
Yes.
Um,
That was a marvelous example.
Yeah, so that doesn't
Yeah.
really, it's not the same with other parts of language learning. It's not a physical, they're not quite as physical. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I really like that example, teacher. Like, I mean, you really need to get your body ready for, I don't know, lifting more weight. And it's the same here. Your pronunciation is not going to improve from one day to another, right? It takes
Yeah.
time. Fluency takes time, and it takes uh, months, months, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. It depends a lot on the person,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not easy, right? And some people, they try. I've had this situation with my students. They start, I don't know, the first month they are motivated, second month they are motivated, but in the third month they are not getting the results they thought they were gonna get. Yeah, because I don't know, they saw this. Uh, Announcement on Facebook. They saw this guy telling them that in 3 months or in 4 months, 5 months, you can actually speak English fluently. Well, sometimes fluency takes time, guys.
Yeah.
You cannot be demotivated because you are not getting the results you thought you were gonna get in 2 or 3 months, right? So that's something that we also need to tell them, right? That it doesn't work like that. It doesn't. You're not gonna be fluent in English from one day to another. It takes time,
Yeah.
but as soon as you start it's better, right?
Yeah.
It's better.
Yeah. And another thing is that no one really agrees. There's no good definition to say, at least you correct me if I'm wrong, because again, you have so many more years experience. But there's no definition of fluency. I've had this issue when, um, I don't know, when I've been learning Spanish and people say, well, are you fluent? And I'm thinking, what does that mean? What? I don't understand what fluency, 3 months to be fluent. Does that mean that you can fluently reserve a hotel room? Like, I don't know what fluency means. Do you have a good definition, Teacher Banda, or is that your experience? People just throw the word
I
fluency
I
around.
th- like when you speak without making a lot of pauses, in the language and committing a lot of mistakes, grammar mistakes, and when you uh, do not have the right intonation. But I totally agree with you. What is exactly the right definition of fluency? Well, some people believe because you need to speak fast. No, that's not
No.
fluency. That's not fluency, right? Fluency is when you are having the right grammar structures, the right pronunciation of the words, the right pronunciation, but it takes time, right? For example, if we're having an English conversation right now, right? Some people could say your fluency is not good. My fluency, because I'm not a native speaker, but I mean that depends on their definition of fluency.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
but if you communicate with the person, if you can establish a conversation, and the other person made it to understand you, I mean, that means that your fluency is good.
mm-hmm. If you can interact with someone, yes. And part of this is coming back to, and I know we need to start looking at questions here in a minute, but I wanted to make the point of
Yes,
this is coming back to how important it is to know what your goals are. Why do
exactly.
you want to learn English? Someone whose goal is to, I don't know, work at a call center is going to have a different goals. Maybe certain things aren't as important to you as someone who is, I don't know, in academics. It just, there's a lot of reasons why people need English. Here in the US, one of the biggest things that we see is being able to communicate with students' teachers. Or we have, parents who come here as immigrants, then they have kids in school, but they don't have a way to communicate with their kids' teachers about what's going on in school. And so if you have a better
Oh,
idea of if you have a better it's important for you to have an idea of why it is you're learning the language so that you can see, you don't get frustrated when you don't reach a certain fluency, or you can focus a little bit better because it's such a huge topic. Does that make sense?
it is.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, yeah, totally, it does. And as you mentioned, it's a huge topic. I mean, sometimes we need to be careful with that because we are too demanding with us. And it's like, oh, I have to do it. I have to do it. Okay. Yes, you can do it and you will do it, but on the time, with the time, with the necessary time that you have for getting a second language, because it's not making pancakes. I mean, it's a second language. It's not just like,
Yeah.
I'm going to start studying English. It's not that easy.
Yeah. How long, I said this in one video too, how long did it take you to get to speak your own language well? Or to read in
Exactly.
your own language well. My daughter picks up some of my books and she says she can read very well, but she looks at it and she says, Mom, I don't get this at all. What is that word? you know? So anyway. All right. Do people have any questions? I'm gonna start going through the comments here. Maybe I'll start at the beginning.
Sounds good.
Let's see. I think um mhm. Can you see the comments as well, Teacher Banda? Trying to
Yes, I
pick out the
can. I can see
questions
him.
here. Um, let's
I,
see.
I
Hope you have
just
health and
I just
success
read one.
always. Thank you, Patu. Thank you, guys. Yeah. So, um, about the American accent. Yeah, I think we answered that question pretty well. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, again, if you're learning English after, if you start learning after childhood or you haven't been in native situations with natives, I'm not going to say you won't because there are instances of people sounding very native. However, it's not likely. So you can have a great American accent, but again, you need to keep good expectations for yourself.
Of
Um,
course. I
yeah,
read this comment
uh-huh.
from from Alban Salimi. It says, "You are the best teacher I have ever seen." Yes, teacher, you are a good teacher, and you are just
Same to
starting, like you
you.
mentioned a couple of minutes ago, right? It says, like, I'm a new English teacher. Wow, imagine what you're gonna do when you have experience.
Thank you
Wow.
so much. Wow, that is so nice. And I do it. I have taught before, but this is so much different than teaching literature because I taught to natives. So, okay,
I
Penguin
have,
Bill says that he's a salesperson, and some customers don't
yeah,
want to communicate with someone who has a strong accent. Wow,
it
that is
happens.
horrible. You know,
It
I
is.
don't know if so. Are you? You must be in the U.S. or an English speaking um, country. And unfortunately, I was looking at the statistics. I was looking at the statistics, but recently, and I think they were a little bit old, so maybe 2008, 2010, but it said that only, I think, 5 to 10% of Native Americans are good at speaking another language. And so there is a huge lack of empathy for a lot and for a lot of people in that regard, just because they just don't I know I don't know if I know I think I only know a couple other Americans who speak another language. So yeah,
Oh, really?
I'm the only one in my family who speaks another language. So thank you. You have a nice personality. Thank you, Libby. Very sweet. Yeah, so that is definitely a problem here in the US. I'm sorry that that's your experience. Go to
Yeah, it happened. It happened to me the same, a couple of years ago. But I took it like, doesn't matter.
yeah. Yep. Ignorant. The ignorant will be ignorant.
Yes,
Let's see.
yeah,
Can you
all the time.
share why you chose your TikTok name like that? Are you speaking? You must be speaking to me because Teacher Banda. Your last name is Banda, right?
Yeah,
So you're Teacher Banda.
exactly.
Mine English between is actually
That's a good
because
question. I had the same question too.
yeah. So I actually, the reason is because I was playing around with the idea of a podcast. So this is the name, this is the beginning name of the podcast that I've been publishing. And so I've been publishing a podcast um, for advanced speakers who want to read books and learn with books. So for more advanced speakers. So the name of the pot, all that to say, the name is English Between the Lines. That's the full name, but English Between the Lines was
Okay.
taken. Someone else did. So I said English between, but the idea is English between the lines is the full thing. And so we have an idiom here. There's an English idiom. Do you know it, Teacher Wanda? What it means to read between the lines? Do
Sorry,
you
teacher.
to read between the lines? Do you know what that? Do you know that idiom?
No, I do not know that idiom.
Yeah, it's an expression that means to look at what is not being said, for example. So if you read between the lines, it's like lines of a book. So to read between is I'm a literature teacher. So to read between the lines is to find what's deeper than the text. So English between the
Oh,
lines. Yeah, English
okay. Now it
between.
makes
Thank
sense.
you. Yeah. Any other questions? Uh,
Even the actors are not native English speaker. Okay.
Teacher, what is the difference between could, can, and may? Teacher Banda, would you like to answer that one?
Of course. I mean, basically, the difference between, could is something like a little bit more formal, as you can use it with may. Can is more for abilities. I mean, I can speak English, I can swim, I
Mm-hmm.
can, all those things. And could is for more polite requests. Could you help me? Could you please assist me with this? And
Mm-hmm.
may is the same. I actually made a TikTok about the difference between may and can. They are
Mm-hmm.
basically the same, but may is a little bit more for. Uh, I had this joke. I remember, like, teacher, can I go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
And the teacher replied, I don't know, can
I
you?
don't know. Can you? I
Right? You
hope
know,
so.
because it, yeah, that's why we use, may I go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
Yes,
That is a
small differences.
classic teacher line. I don't know. Can you? Yeah, and could is also
Exactly.
kind of it could is also for um, a possibility in the future. Like I could go to Mexico. I could teach
Yeah,
English, but I'm not
of
doing it.
course.
Any other
Yes.
questions? Let's see.
Alexandra's laughing. Alexandra is like she's
Yeah.
laughing.
Any other questions for us so we can answer any questions?
I really liked this live. I really
Yeah, it
liked
was
it.
really fun. We'll have to do it again soon. There's a lot
Yes,
to talk
and
about.
we will,
Mm-hmm.
and we will. Right.
Yep. I guess just wait one more second if anyone else would like, and we are almost exactly on time. It's sick.
Yes.
It's been 43 minutes, and we said 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Anyone have any
And they
questions for
have. I
us?
mean, they have gone like quickly. You know.
Yeah, I got it. Thanks a lot. You're welcome, Alban.
Okay,
Anyone?
that's actually my middle name,
Oh, really?
Alvin. Yeah,
Nice.
Alvin Banda.
Alban Banda. It has a
Yes.
nice rhythm. Yeah,
Yeah, Alvin Banda. That's my middle name, and my last name, Banda.
nice.
Yes.
All right.
That
Well,
was amazing, teacher.
yeah, that was awesome. And thanks, everyone. Follow Teacher Banda if you haven't already. He does a lot of stuff in Spanish as well. Yeah, and we'll see you next time. Bye,
Yes, of
everybody. Thanks
course.
for
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you, teacher. Thank you, audience.
Thank
Right. Thank you,
you.
people. Yeah.
Bye.
You have a great weekend.
Thanks, you too.